with a strong pick in this Silas. It's a very LPL pick. It's something we're not really seeing much in the other regions. But Bless going to be stepping up to see if he can stop FLICKR doing whatever he wants around the map.
DMO just looking for a change. They have been struggling throughout the whole split so far, and bringing in Bless just does seem like a breath of fresh air, right? They need something to go right, and maybe this isn't the change that they need, but they need to try something.
Only one way to find out. It's time to hit Summoner's Rift and see if Bless on the Silas can change the fortunes here for DMO. It's 1-0 currently to OMG, who are going to be over on the red side this time around. DMO certainly are going to be up against it. Coming on through here. OMG once again. We've got Icon in the mid lane on this Echo. I'm excited to see, because we've talked about Icon already. When he gets on these more stylish picks, it's great to see what he can achieve.
The thing I like about this Echo pick is it means we should see high action. When you're playing a melee versus range matchup, we should see FLICKR more towards the mid lane, getting this 2v2 pressure, and Echo is a great diver with that ultimate. We can see strong bot lane dives coming out this game.
RoboKernel actually thinks DMO has the advantage here. Gave him a 53% chance. So the statistics would suggest that DMO have the advantage. I'm not sure I agree with that one, though, this time.
The thing about DMO's comp that I like is in LPL, I think simplicity is better. You do have a very strong front-to-back team fight with your Zoe and Kaisa. Natural and Mark up in the front just tanking damage. It's very straightforward, right? We walk at you, our tanks go in, our carries do damage.
And it's great to see as well because, as you mentioned in game number 1, that's what we like to see from DMO. That's the classic DMO sword and shield style. Big guys in the front, small guys in the back, dishing out the damage, front-to-back team fighting.
Yeah, and another thing to highlight is Gala taking Hail of Blades on this Kaisa. We don't typically see this rune. It is more of an early game burst rune, getting off those 3 autos, being able to get some strong trading in the laning phase.
It's almost like the rune version of Sword of the Divine, right? It's just huge amount of sudden burst, sudden damage that you can pull off in a trade, in a 2v2. Gala, though, getting flayed on back. One of the big issues you're going to have is, unless you can kill in that burst, you're not really going to get it to stick against the likes of an Aphelios.
I think I would have liked to see more of the press the attack or some scaling rune where we did just say that DMO's team composition does want to play more towards the late game.
Perhaps we can still see some late game strength from them, though. Oh, Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Xiaowei just going to get a small amount of damage in. Can't really follow up with the full Zoe damage. That'll be coming later on in the game once he does hit the level 6.
Echo versus Zoe, we expect to see Echo get poked out in the early laning phase. Once he does get that first reset, comes in with some items, he will be able to push that lane and just kind of look for plays in River and on side lanes.
Something we alluded to earlier when we were talking about this matchup before the series had started is that OMG, this is an organization and a roster, or not a roster, sorry. This is an organization that's been around the LPL for a very long time now. When you think back to 2014 OMG, they were a single game away from getting to the World Finals. That's the squad that you think back to with Going, with Loveling in it, even with Cool during the regular season. That roster obviously got changed up. They had a bit more weakness in them for the next couple of years. And then 2017, again, we had a really strong roster from OMG with SMLZ in the lineup. Now SMLZ's back. Let's see if OMG can keep the style and strength that they've been looking for as FLICKR moves to the top lane, gets the kick onto Natural. Natural walking off to his turret, and I think he'll get away with his life here. Volcanic Rupture not going to hit.
OMG do like to play around top side. We talked about that earlier. Lee Sin Ornn isn't typically the duo you would think of for playing for that top side. Maybe a bit of the nerfs showing through on this gank, though. We did see Ornn get some small nerfs to his brittle damage.
Yeah.
And that was just enough maybe to secure that kill onto Natural.
Yeah, Natural walks away on sub 100 HP, so perhaps that nerf was literally what saved him in that situation. But now we're seeing this modern iteration of OMG. I'm excited for what the future can hold for this roster, because it does finally feel like they've got a bit of style back. They've got a little bit of flair with them.
Like you were referencing with earlier iterations of OMG, they were for a long time known as this team based around players like Going. For a long time was known as the best top laner in the world. Players like Cool have been a staple in LPL for such a long time. in around 2018, where they did lose a lot of these key players, they struggled to find stability. They were a rotating door of players, like we mentioned in the first game. They had 3 junglers, 3 supports, and getting anything going was hard.
It definitely feels like what you mentioned, junglers especially. FLICKR has been the medicine that OMG have been prescribed, and it's working wonders for them. You saw it in game number 1 of this series especially. He really showed Xiaopeng who this jungle belonged to. So far, it's now going to be down to Bless to see if he can match up.
OMG looking, ooh, big trade coming out.
Good stun from Icon here. Not really able to get too much damage to stick to Xiao Wei though, and the trouble bubble means that Xiao Wei comfortably wins that trade.
Game 1, we saw Icon on point with those skill shots and those sleepy trouble bubbles. Xiao Wei showing that he is proficient on this champion.
Yeah, he knows how to do this one, but Icon's hit level 6 now, and that is certainly a massive power spike for Echo. Maybe he's got the dueling power available now as Hacker wants to contest this dragon. I don't know if he's going to be able to find a way in. Sonic Wave going to land onto Bless, not onto the dragon itself. Goes for the smite, can't get it, but there's a lantern coming out from Cold.
I want to show some respect for OMG there. What a clean, ballsy play for them trying to execute. But we did see the benefit of Xiao Wei poking out Icon there. DMO being able to secure a dragon off of that.
Gala barely gets away from that hook there. I think that shaved his eyebrow off on the way past, but nice attempt there from OMG, but great to see Bless actually setting the pace this time. He's on this Silas pick, knows that he can go for this Drake, and setting DMO up for a bit more early pressure.
Yeah. Another thing we need to keep our eye on this game is, again, we talk about the Blade of the Rune King buffs.
Yeah.
We've seen some Renekton's taking Blade of the Rune King in solo queue, especially when you think of the likes of an Ornn, a tankier target. That 12% HP damage will be very useful.
Yeah, and you could see double longsword in his inventory as well. There aren't 2 longswords in a Black Cleaver, so it does make you think perhaps that will be the way he goes. And obviously Natural is a player that loves to have this solo pressure, loves to play the split pushes like things like the Camille. You'd expect his Renekton build could well look towards solo strength.
Yeah, Natural winning this lane matchup should be expected. Renekton against Ornn. Natural also is a very strong laner, sometimes being a bit too volatile, opening himself up to early game ganks like we saw against WE, where he just fell so far behind early on the Camille, it was really hard for him to do anything for the rest of the game.
But we have had really highlight games from him as well. When we think of the Camille, you got to think back to week 1, actually pulling off a 1v3, I guess 1v1v1v1, but you know, we've seen highlight moments from him, and 2 games in a row now, he's the one with a CS advantage during the laning phase. You do hope that he can pull something off in this second game.
Right now, we are seeing both teams kind of hover towards the top side.
Oh, the flash from Icon. He wants to all in onto Xiao Wei. Hacker's here. Flash from Xiao Wei. Double flash, in fact. As he sprints down into River, Mark's going to be here to escort him out of the play.
Icon going for that all-in when his support was hovering towards the mid lane. We did also see Mark around there, as this is the 8-minute mark where teams will swap for this Herald. I do expect us to see a fight here, as Natural does have priority in the top lane.
An 8-minute mark roam at the 8-minute mark. That's what we like to see out of the support from DMO. Herald going to be started up, though, by OMG. Natural has popped his Dominus in the brush. Didn't go for the play just yet. Hacker does get the Herald for himself. SMLZ, the first one to drop in the fight, though. That's the power of Renekton right there. SMLZ grabbed the Herald, though.
That was a beautiful, decisive play coming out from Natural. Just hid in the brush, started up his Dominus, and then just flashed over the wall and left OMG no time to react, deleting SMLZ.
Yeah, just absolutely wipes through. And that is the perfect situation for Renekton, right? When you've got your ultimate up and you can get in amongst 4 of the enemy team. It's literally the best feeling in the world when you're on the Crocodile.
Also shows that OMG not really going for a full setup, right? They weren't pushing out lanes, setting up vision, looking for a safe opportunity to start up this Rift Herald. They did just kind of jump the gun, rotate members up top, got the flash out of the Zoe, and thought, okay, you know, we're fine.
Yeah, it feels like they're getting a little bit fast and loose here in game number 2. And to be honest, it's difficult to blame them after game number 1 because, you know, they were able to, you know, they got that Herald, ended up getting 3 towers for it, or almost 3 towers for it in game number 1, and it felt like, okay, DMO aren't going to answer anything we're going to do. It's not really too surprising to see in game number 2, they're like expecting DMO not to answer anything they do.
Natural getting 2 plates on this Renekton. He's really going to be a big monster in these team fights if he can get on the backline in SMLZ. We are going to really have to look for what Icon can do on this Echo. When you do bring out a unique pick like this, we talked about early game, his ability to dive once he has his ultimate. He has his ultimate, he has pressure in the mid lane. Now how can he use this to help get OMG ahead in snowballing?
Yeah, and you can see that he was already trying to achieve that as well, going for the flash play onto Xiao Wei right towards the start. Obviously, the issue with going for a flash play against Zoe is you do give Zoe a flash automatically with the Spell Thief. She can kind of just run away from the play and then sprint off with her passive movement speed.
We do see both teams posturing around bot lane. It is kind of the downside of Aphelios picking up that Rift Herald, is you do know where OMG are going to want to put their attention, so DMO can just match and let their Renekton abuse his solo advantage in the top lane.
We'll see when SMLZ is going to commit to dropping that Herald. Ward going to be cleared up in the Tribrush. They know that Bless is there. OMG still going to commit to the play, though. This is a 4 versus 3. The rest of OMG need to start rotating on down. They drop the Herald. You can see Icon moving through towards Tribrush now. Curse is here already. Natural has the teleport available. The charge goes through, but no plates picked up. Cold narrowly misses the death sentence there. Curse takes a massive hit there. Dragon going to be started up. Natural, more than happy, by the way, to just have a solo lane for a little while.
I do like this play coming out from OMG, though. You move Ornn down, doesn't have to blow that TP, is able to now TP back to lane. You get some plate gold in the bot lane, and you are able to pick up a dragon and start scaling on your side.
Despite the double longsword, by the way, we do see that Natural still went for the cleaver first. He just used one of the longswords, now has the second one still in his inventory there. So he was just baiting us out.
If there was any player we would expect to go for more of a solo queue build and follow Audi from EDG, it would have been Natural. I am a bit disappointed, but Black Cleaver still is very good on Renekton, is very easy to apply those cleave stacks. The extra HP you get from it is always good when you are looking to get onto the backline and get right into these team fights.
Incredibly strong item, and obviously just the CDR as well, fantastic for slicing through the enemy team. But now OMG, once again the ones that have started to grab control of how this game is being played. You can see they're the ones to make the Herald play bot after getting the Herald for themselves. They're the ones that get the second Drake. And this mirrors what happened in game number 1. DMO were the ones to get the first Drake in game 1, and then OMG took control.
And this game is really going to be light versus dark, fire versus water. OMG funneling all of their golden resources into SMLZ and setting him up to be a strong threat later in the game, while DMO have been solely focusing on getting Natural ahead.
And off the back of the Herald play earlier on, it's SMLZ that gets the first tower of the game as well. So bonus 100 gold going into his inventory there. Natural just consistently will continue to win out the trades up against the likes of the Ornn, but that's totally expected. Now, though, DMO looking to make a play up towards the top side. Natural wants to go for the dive. Hacker kicks him back on in. And OMG aren't going to go down without a fight here. Curse dodges out safely. Icon doing a huge amount on the Echo. Can he get his chrono break? The answer is no. Shut down before the ultimate comes through. And it's DMO that are ahead on the play.
DMO making the expected play, using their priority in the mid lane and just their strong Renekton in topside to look for this dive. OMG were able to predict it, did bring up members like Hacker, but still ended up being a 1-for-1. Not sure if Icon jumping in for Natural was worth it, but both teams feeling relatively fine.
Yeah, I think Icon expected to be able to get his ultimate off there, expected to be able to jump back out of the fight after getting the kill, but ultimately it's a tower that goes down in favor of DMO. Now a TP from DMO as well. Cold going to be the target as Natural uses the turret to slice and dice. Miss on the hook from Cold, but here comes Hacker, and Natural suddenly in trouble. Moonlight Vigil not going to do too much. Oh, the damage is not quite enough. Hacker, less than 10 HP, walks away.
Absolutely heartbreaking from the side of DMO. Still great aggressive plays coming out from them. OMG overstepping just a little bit, using that TP from Natural and roam from Xiao Wei to hit that damage.
Look at the different priorities for these two teams. 640 gold to Natural from DMO, 640 gold to OMG's SMLZ on this Aphelios. You could see the different styles of these compositions coming through.
Yeah, it does go against what we talked about with DMO of them really wanting Gala to be this late game team fight carry. It was kind of shown with him going Hail of Blades in the early game and you, of course, rushing this Renekton in the draft. So it really is just going to come out to who can execute better.
That's ultimately what it often comes down to here in the LPL. I think of any region in the world, this is the one that's most down to individual plays across the board. Quite often we see teams neglecting things like side wave pressure and just going to try and force a play.
If there's one thing RNG has taught me about LPL is that your draft doesn't matter. If you are the team making better plays on the map, you will win this game.
I think that is a resoundingly correct statement here in the LPL. And now DMO, they're the ones starting to make a map play as they clear vision towards this Herald on the top side. Curse, in the meantime, will finally finish off that turret and even things up a little bit. OMG actually going to be ahead in turrets because they got the tier 1 in the bottom lane earlier on.
Yeah, and OMG now looking for these resets. Oh, but Ornn cancels. We should expect both teams to set up for this Drake right now. Whoever backs, buys wards, get their items, and gets on the map first should be the team in a good position to take this team fight.
Icon wants to contest for this scuttle, and he will be able to do so. Now looking for Gala as well. Forces the killer instinct.
In talking about this next Drake, both teams want to play very differently. We talked about the front-to-back team fight coming out of DMO with your Zoe and your Kai'Sa, to where we really want to see Icon get on the backline for OMG.
Natural going to be starting this Herald up as Bless going to join him, and looks like DMO have decided they are going to concede this Drake. And important to mention, it is going to be the Infernal Soul. Huge damage, and especially when you've got things like an Echo, things like an Aphelios, that's going to scale exceptionally well.
Yup, Infernal Soul, everyone wants it. Just going to be huge. Both teams can't ignore Dragon after this point. After Icon did chunk out Gala in the earlier fight, did seem like DMO said, okay, we don't need Dragon. Let's get Rift Herald and continue this snowball for Natural.
Hacker, he's going to be the one taking the chickens this time. As Bless going to be over towards the top side, clearing away his jungle. Bear in mind, Bless does have the Herald in his inventory now, so the question will be where he looks to force the issue with that objective.
Both teams right now just kind of slowing it down. We don't have any priority objectives on the map. It should just be Renekton collecting farm in one side, Icon collecting it in the other. Both teams going to try and use their pressure and bring it towards the mid lane. We do want to see if OMG will be able to defend this bot side turret. They really don't need to, and I don't expect them to. But for the next 4 or 5 minutes, you shouldn't have much action going on in the game.
Bless having to use the hijack there. I guess it was just about to run out. For a split second, I thought it was SMLZ that had used his ult. I was like, what? What is going on? But obviously, hijack. The ultimates do time out if you've stolen them. So just like the Rift Herald, if it's going to time out, even if it's suboptimal, you still just use it.
Munch, please give respect to SMLZ. He is not just going to throw. It is not misfortune. You're not just going to throw out that ultimate 4 wave clear. Doesn't work like that.
I'll never respect him. Never. But I like to see that he's on the Aphelios, though. You mentioned SMLZ. It's good to see him on more of a late-game pick once again. That's what we've been seeing out of OMG more recently, is a little bit more of a tendency towards this late game in the AD carry from SMLZ. We saw him on the Caitlyn before. We've seen a decent amount of Aphelios from him as well. Obviously, most teams in the LPL will pick up the Aphelios if it's available. But I feel like SMLZ is one of the most proficient Aphelios we have in the league. Speaking of which, he gets two Gravitums on to start this fight off. Mark has been kicked on back, and he'll be taken down as well. Icon jumps and zones the rest of the team away. And OMG make a very nice, very quick play.
We talked about it was about who can control side lanes better. OMG getting those waves pushed. Not exactly sure what Natural was doing. It looked like he was farming Krugs. Giving Curse a window to roam mid and open that Call of the Forge God and find a really good pick on the side of OMG.
Well, you mentioned Natural being a solo queue style top laner. Farming Krugs while the fight goes on is a pretty solo queue thing to do.
Yeah, and we were just talking about SMLZ. An interesting thing to note is his build on the Aphelios this game, but let's look at this replay real quick. We did say OMG got side lane priority, using that Call of the Forge God to find the pick. Good hook coming out from Cold, pulling Mark in. Icon jumping to the backline but not being able to find anything. Either way, you're happy on the side of OMG finding that pick in a pretty slow time of the game.
Yeah, and you could see Icon got 2 stacks of his Z-Drive Resonance onto the likes of Gala. I think one more auto maybe would have finished the job, but there was a big old shield on Gala from his Killer Instinct. So I think Icon deciding it wasn't worth risking suicide for. Speaking of which, Gala has an Icon on him once again. But it's just going to be a little bit of pressure, as it looks like OMG starting to set up for a 1-3-1.
Yes, and this is one of the awkward things about when you have a Zoe and, you know, a normal ADC in your comp is there's no one who can really safely go and farm side lane against the likes of an Echo. He is going to play pretty close to tower, though, so he will be safe. But this damage coming from the Crescendum.
Crescendum plus Calibrum is so terrifying. Xiao Wei gets another auto over to him. Bertram keeps him safe. SMLZ knows how to pressure on this champion, knows the turret will really set you up, but this Herald just dropped in mid lane. I mentioned it earlier, when it does start to time out, you just got to drop it in a lane. It's really not going to work out.
And the side lane control coming out from OMG. I'll slow it down, but OMG can't find anything. The side lane control coming out from OMG is really suffocating DMO and not giving them many options to use that Rift Herald, look for plays on the map, or just find a pressure point.
And the control that's coming out from OMG could lead them to a 3rd Drake here. It's going to be up in 30 seconds. And a 2nd Infernal Drake certainly is going to make Icon a lot stronger in these 1v1s when he's trying to find kills onto the likes of Gala. He's close to finishing the Lich Bane as well.
Yes, a big thing to keep an eye out on is SMLZ doesn't have the ultimate on the Aphelios for this team fight. We do see Icon pressuring this top turret, so I want to see if he can find a good flank. We do see OMG having a ward on the Raptors behind Dragon Pit, so that's what we want to keep an eye on going into this team fight.
Icon has his teleport available, but DMO, they're going to start this Dragon off regardless. Icon just getting free damage onto the tier 2 there. Xiao Wei with a nice trouble bubble, but he can't follow up. In the meantime, SMLZ happy to tank up the mid lane tower just to grab that objective. OMG deciding it's time to trade.
We keep setting up these team fights, Munch, and the teams just keep saying no. Pretty good decision coming out from OMG. You get 2 turrets for 1 Infernal Drake. Sure, you'd be 1 off from the Infernal Soul, but maybe Aphelios not having that Moonlight Vigil just kind of dissuaded them to say, hey, let's get some more gold onto our carries. We can go for this later.
Yeah, and also having those extra turrets down, especially the mid lane tier 1, is going to open you up to have more control when it does come to the next Drake in 4.5 minutes. But Baron is on the map as well, and I feel like I have to give this disclaimer. Every Aphelios game, if he's got Crescendum, they can just rush that down.
And let's take like 10 steps back when we were trying to talk about the Aphelios build. He did go for Essence Reaver into Runon's Hurricane, which makes sense. You don't have really any wave clear, but that damage, that gold going onto SMLZ, this is what we were talking about, both teams focusing opposite sides of the map early.
Mark just warded it, didn't spot them, but then he walked on in, and we'll see them. Bless gets a 3-man Call of the Forge God. Nicely done there. In the meantime, Icon in a 2v3 right now. Xiao Wei wants to try and finish the kill off, but Curse knocks him up, forces him away.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see if we get a replay on what happened in the mid lane, because does look like Icon over-aggressed and got picked out by Xiao Wei and Gala. Him having to flash out and leave that team fight means that OMG can't re-engage off the Call of the Forge God.
Curse happily going to block this paddle start. He is obviously practically invincible already on the Ornn. Is DMO now just going to group up mid and try and force a play? This is what we saw out of OMG in game number 1. Switching of roles, but no dive going to come through from DMO.
Like we were saying before, for the third, but we're finally getting that replay. Does look like Icon just walked a bit too far forward, caught out, forced to blow the ultimate and the flash, so not able to follow up that Call of the Forge God, but still, OMG don't lose anything. Yeah,
looking for the 1v1, but you've always got to respect the killer instinct from Gala. He will be able to dive across the map to get into the fights. Icon's found a 1v1 onto Natural here, but I guess he's just going to do one rotation of abilities and then zip on out of the fight again.
Yeah, right now, Echo versus Renekton in the side lane isn't something that we see too common. He might not feel too good about winning in an extended trade right now. Echo is much more of like a burst champion. Get on, throw your abilities down, back out, wait for the rotation to come back up and get in there again.
Yeah, and you have to bear in mind as well, one of the things about Echo is obviously his cooldowns are very short. Unsurprisingly, it's a champion themed around time, right? But you can see his ultimate on the right of your screen, already 2/3 done. Once he gets the 3rd level into that ultimate and he gets max CDR, you'll see that that ultimate has a mere like 30-second cooldown or something ridiculous.
Scaling will start coming out from the side of OMG. Another nerf that Ornn got on this patch is that all of his upgrades were pushed back by 1 level, but he is level 14 now, so we will start seeing the item upgrades coming out for OMG.
And especially when you've got that Aphelios, the Molten Edge, such a huge power spike for him. OMG, the Colonel's changed his mind. He was saying 53 for DMO earlier. It's very much gone the other way, despite the fact that the gold lead only 2,000 as of the 25-minute mark. This is when OMG won game number 1.
OMG had a really strong and clean performance in the first game. Did look like they didn't exactly know how to translate that pressure from Icon into the side lanes. And DMO, of course, just have a really strong matchup in the top lane, and we're able to hold off the game through that and get to this state.
So the Colonel is favoring OMG right now. I feel like I'm favoring OMG as well. Jordan, talk me through this. What can DMO do here? How did they find themselves a win in this series?
DMO will always have the ability to group up mid as 5 once an objective like Drake or Baron is up. So Drake will be up in 50 seconds. We want to see them group up, get Vision as a 5-man deathball unit, go into River, and again, play these front-to-back teamfights, abuse the poke coming out of Xiao Wei and Gala's W. We saw in that mid lane siege how much damage Xiao Wei was doing with the Paddle Star.
See if they can set up for the grouped up play in the mid lane. And it's what we saw OMG doing when they had the Zoe pick on their half of the board. And we have mentioned the scaling. Oh, here we go, actually. TP coming on in from Icon. He wants to make the play, and Mark has found himself very alone. Does get the flash out to safety. Huge damage out from SMLZ. Calibrum, just such ridiculous range. Clearing away the ward. 5 seconds until that Drake spawns. A lot of ults used, though.
Yeah, Gala got way too low. DMO are going to have to give up this dragon. And a thing that's really funny to touch on with how this game is going in particular is usually DMO is the team that picks like a flanking team fight where you have a 4-man core and 1 person coming in on the back end. And OMG picked the front-to-back team fight, but they swapped this game.
Swapping things around. And Icon so far on this Echo, not really finding these huge teamfight impacts that we've been hoping for. But considering the fact that we've not really had many teamfights, it's not all too surprising. But the thing about the Echo pick, you always have to just consider that any single moment he could pop off and just find a triple.
And that's what we just saw. We saw OMG have great vision into DMO's bot side jungle. Even just the threat of an Echo flank on that TP, DMO has to start peeling off because he's such a strong backline threat.
Molten Edge in the inventory of SMLZ already. So he's going to be hitting real hard with the 3 crit items finished. He's also got himself the QSS just in case a trouble bubble does land. You can see he's running the heal, not the cleanse. Cold, though, going to face check, and DMO are just waiting for that to happen. Does have a stopwatch. It's not going to keep him alive for long. Moonlight Vigil onto 2. Blessed down to half HP. But he has his Kingslayer available. Knock up onto Natural and onto Gala. In goes Icon. Can't finish the kill. Backs away once again. Xiao Wei doing what he can as Hacker. He's not going to follow the queue.
OMG just being a bit greedy. They didn't push out their mid and side lanes before walking into River as a 5-man unit. Ooh, OMG starting up this Baron is extremely risky.
Yeah, that would have been bold. 4v5 and you're the ones to start the objective. I don't know how wise that is of a play.
We did just use the word greedy for them walking in and getting vision, so them following up with a 4-man Baron is very fitting.
Yeah, appropriate play. Might not be the right play, but it's appropriate for the squad. Here we go, Icon moving towards this mid lane to try and deter the pressure. It's coming out from the side of DMO, and they will be able to do so, just clearing out this minion wave. And Curse, we already mentioned it, with the 2 upgraded items on the Ornn, he's an absolute brick wall.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard for the side of DMO to get damage onto this Ornn. Luckily, you do have a Kaisa who has great scaling damage into the late game. Natural being able to slice and dice out of there.
But delaying just one recall might be enough here, as we have an Aphelios in the game. The Crescendum alongside the Severum here, and you can just look at how fast this Baron gets burnt on down. You swap over to the Severum, you burst through with your Q, and then you get so many Chakrams to just annihilate the objective. Now, Call of the Forge God through, knock up onto the likes of Bless. They're trying to get onto Hacker. They're trying to find something to punish this play, but Hacker jumps over the wall. He's protected by SMLZ. And OMG take the Baron for free.
And they still get the mid turret off of minions. OMG have been so clever this split. We talked they were getting better and better each game. Their decision making is getting much quicker. They force this Baron before DMO even realizes it started.
And I love how it's like, oh, you're not going to let us do the 4-man Baron? Fine, we'll just do a 2-man Baron instead then. That way you won't know what's going on. Dragon going to be spawning in 2 minutes time. OMG firmly in control of this game. They're on Soul Point. They've got Baron. If they can get a third Infernal Dragon and the Infernal Soul, you got to say this might just be donezo.
Yeah, and they will be able to control the side waves with the Baron buff, so they should have a good time setting up for Baron in about 1 minute.
It's not over yet, though. DMO still have the chance to fight. Bear in mind, Baron buff, you know, it's great when you can set up the side lanes. It's not going to help you that much in a team fight. And DMO. Sorry, go on.
And we do see that Icon doesn't have the TP right now, so he can't look for those flank plays, but we do see, like in game 1, where DMO just ignored that side lane.
Yeah.
Icon will just be able to threaten this turret.
Icon has a Lich Bane as well, so he will burn through this turret very quickly. You can see already half of its health done in a singular little trade. In fact, even more. He's going to get some bonus damage here. He might be able to finish the turret. Icon goes in and... I mean, he may have sacrificed himself here, to be quite honest. Has to use the Chrono Break very, very early. Zhonya's to keep himself alive. Dragon not actually on the table just yet. I don't know if that's worth.
This was a big misstep by Icon. Your death timer is longer than the Dragon. You were on Soul Point. How you just backed up and saved that turret for a later time when you do have Baron and you will, again, in theory, you would have Soul. You would be fine.
Yeah, kind of a weird play coming out from Icon. Kind of uncharacteristic as well to be so greedy for the tower. I mean, he gets a little bit of gold for himself, but realistically, I don't think that's worth it. Another tower, the second one in the last 5 minutes to just go down to minions in favor of OMG now. Curse looking for the Call of the Forge God. I don't think he's missed a single one of those this game.
He hasn't, but that wasn't maybe the best use of Call of the Forge God.
Hey, it still counts, okay? A hit's a hit.
A big thing to look out for is Icon will come up and his TP is coming up soon.
We mentioned it already. SMLZ, such a proficient Aphelios, nearly gets a kill onto Mark there. It's going to force the support out of this play. Bless doesn't find the knockups he's looking for. Mark going to be tanking up against Curse. Brittle might just finish the kill off Hacker, trying to get in for the smite, but he's taken down, and it's Bless that gets one for himself. 1 for 1 so far. His natural is massive in the fight, but not big enough. Icon now with the damage onto Gala, forces him away. Double kill for SMLZ.
And we saw...
Oh, we're still going on. Natural is still alive somehow. Icon finishes that one.
We've seen twice in a row 2 Call of the Forge Gods used where no one on your team is able to follow up. Sure, as DMO, you just took the Dragon. They aren't on Soul Point, but now OMG might just be able to push through the base and get the Nexus.
Can they actually just end the game here? They've got 20, 30 seconds to work with Curse already on this inhibitor. This was the play. Icon saw the future. He knew that the throw would happen at Dragon, and he opened the base for his team. Now, charging onto the Nexus. 5 seconds on Bless. Knock up towards Gala. There's a stun, and it's a kill for SMLZ. This is going to be the game. This is going to be a quick, clean 2-0 for OMG. What a performance here against DMO. Nothing Bless can do, and what a win.